Fellow citizens, last night I ordered U.S. military forces to Panama. No president takes such action lightly.
Late last night and early today, at my direction, the United States Armed Forces conducted an extraordinary military operation in the capital of Venezuela.
The goals of the United States have been to safeguard the lives of Americans, to defend democracy in Panama, to combat drug trafficking, and to protect the integrity of the Panama Canal Treaty. Many attempts have been made to resolve this crisis through diplomacy and negotiations. All were rejected by the dictator of Panama, General Manuel Noriega, an indicted drug trafficker.
Against a heavily fortified military fortress in the heart of Caracas to bring outlaw dictator Nicolas Maduro to justice.
The Panamanian people want democracy, peace, and the chance for a better life in dignity and freedom. The people of the United States seek only to support them in pursuit of these noble goals. Thank you very much.
Imagine
a podcast
where time drifts slowly.
A podcast
where
Isaac
carries you away.
So let me be clear. We tortured some folks.
If you don't like what we tell you to believe in, we'll kill you.
What happens after America liberates a country? Well, don't look at Iraq, right? Don't look at Nicaragua after the United States spent 10 years waging war crimes against the Sandinistas. Did Nicaragua get better after they liberated it from its communist ideologies? What about Korea? Oh, you could point to the liberation of Korea, I suppose. It was a military dictatorship up until 1988. And as far as I can tell, Korea is not actually doing so good in spite of all the great music coming out of there. And even Puerto Rico, not that it was ever liberated, but it's interesting to compare Puerto Rico to Cuba, these similar islands, I suppose. Yes, you might have your freedom as a Boricua, but you have to share your island or actually start to fork over more and more of your island to literal crypto Bitcoin pedophiles like Brock Pierce. Sounds like a fair exchange. Gotta love the freedom. You gotta love being liberated by the United States. Panama was liberated by the United States in 1990 when it invaded, kidnapped, and imprisoned General Manuel Noriega. Panama's great now, isn't it? It's awesome. It only has, I think the highest wealth inequality in this hemisphere, I believe. So that's good, right? To call Panama a country is also being very loose with the definition of country. But I wanted to talk about Panama on this episode in light of the illegal invasion of Venezuela and the kidnapping of its head of state, Nicolas Maduro. The last time we kidnapped a foreign leader from its country and brought them to the United States was exactly 36 years ago. Isn't that bizarre? Noriega was kidnapped on January 3rd, 1990. Maduro, January 3rd, 2026. Is that on purpose? I don't know. That's neither here nor there for me. But there are certainly parallels here. There are also lots of differences. The main one being that Maduro was not a CIA asset for decades on behalf of the United States and is not a drug trafficker. Noriega was a drug trafficker, but he's a much more complicated figure than the American media would lead you to believe. And so to talk about this, I am joined by Eyes Wide Open. He's got a great YouTube channel where he gets into the hidden history that your school books never taught you. I'm glad I can have someone with great historical breadth join me on this episode to talk about Panama and what really happened there, because it keeps happening. The consent manufactured by the American media in the invasion of Panama is nearly identical to the consent manufactured by the media to invade Venezuela and abduct Maduro. And it's so disappointing to see people continue to fall for it, especially since Maduro, you can criticize the man, but he is no Noriega, and yet we're applying the exact same legal standards, the exact same moral standards, and you're seeing this again in Iran. I cannot emphasize enough to everybody, stop believing what you see on the news in America. And this will continue to happen again and again until everybody wakes up and stops believing the bullshit. And so I think re-examining Noriega and what happened in Panama is very important. And I hope that it opens everyone's eyes a little more about what's really going on, what's really behind this. Because, again, they're using the exact same methods because it worked before. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, I guess. If you enjoy the show, please consider subscribing, $5 a month, etc., etc. You know, I absolutely hate doing this part, but I do have to remind people that in order to do this, because it does take a lot of my time, I spend put a lot of effort into this. If you really enjoy this, if you like listening to me do these things, please consider subscribing, $5 a month or whatever you can manage. It's greatly appreciated. Are there more creative ways I can beg? I think I mentioned on social media that I have a big plan this year. It's going to be an extension of this show where I am going to do a podcast, an interview show in a sauna. And in order to do that, I have to build a mobile sauna. And so I am going to start needing some scratch. I'll hustle it in other places. But yeah, is there something I can say that's funny? How can I dance for you? How can I get you guys to start paying me for this? Open to suggestions, open to criticisms. As always, email me, message me. I will always get back to you. I do like talking to people. And enjoy the show. Thanks.
1 year ago, the people of Panama lived in fear under the thumb of a dictator. Today, democracy is restored. Panama is free.
And to say we invaded Panama because Noriega, I don't know how Americans can be so stupid to believe this. I mean, how can you be so stupid?
The performance of the mainstream news media in the coverage of Panama has been just about total collaboration with the administration.
The United States has exercised a might makes right doctrine among the smaller countries of the third world to invade these countries, get what we want, and leave the people that live there to kind of rot.
The invasion sets the stage for the wars of the 21st century.
If you look at any document in international law, any of numerous treaties, it's clear that this invasion was illegal. It's not debatable.
How in the world do you restore that which has never existed? Panama has never been a democracy since we created Panama for our own purposes in 1903. And all we did was go down to restore American control and dominance in Panama.
Yeah, I'm just fighting with people on the internet right now. Hold on. Free Cuba. Gaddafi. Bad man. Am I spelling Gaddafi right? They always spell his name so many different ways. Gaddafi, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's like 3 different spellings.
Yeah, Gaddafi, bad man. That's good enough for that. I don't have to give him. Yeah.
I mean,
this one.
When you say free Cuba and Gaddafi, bad man, you're going full chaos agent here.
Yeah, people are gonna be a little confused when they see, because of the way the comments work on Instagram. They might not understand where I'm coming from, but I am. Yeah, someone. This one big account. This on Instagram, which she is. I get very frustrated by these repost accounts that are making tons of money just stealing other people's content.
Yeah.
And I learned, she told me that she gets paid $4,000 per post.
Wait,
to
what?
Yes, to do like collabs with Polymarket. So she'll do like a post like once every other week or something like that for $4,000. She has almost 1 million followers, and she'll do a Polymarket thing, and it's just kind of like, yeah, that's bad, right?
Brother, we're in the wrong business, right? We're getting the wrong bag here. I mean,
I
God, I
know,
gotta start
dude.
an Instagram slop account now, man.
I'm fucking pocket watching here, making I'm such an idiot making all original content and sticking to my moral and political principles. The fuck is wrong with me, dude?
Now, next year, man, I'm gonna be making a Fireplace Channel 10-hour YouTube video, and that'll make me and my children sustain us for the rest of our lives.
You gotta feed your kids. You gotta take care of your family. So
I don't know if you saw this, like the Fireplace Channel guy this year made something absurd, like $4 million of ad revenue.
This is fucking stupid world, dude. What a beginning. What a start to 2026, man. It's great. So yeah, this account posted a video of some man, I think at the London embassy, replacing the Iranian flag with the flag of the Shah, the pre-revolutionary flag. And it's just like posting that without any context, without being like, hey, I wonder why we're only seeing this one side of this event, as though they've never heard of a color revolution or
I mean, this is just like we're going towards the Persian Spring here. It feels like, yeah. I mean, it's really rhyming with the events of, what was it, 2011 was the Arab Spring, I think, something like that. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see that Iran has gone, the Iranian government has decided to do a total blackout strategy, which I think is quite wise in this situation, to just try to limit information going out of the country. I think is a good strategy, but we'll see how it plays out.
Well, apparently Starlink, Elon gave the Iranian Starlink, which is why we're able to see these videos of the protests. But listen, great transition into today's conversation. You're saying the rhyming of history.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and I've brought you on. Thank you again for coming on the show. Eyes Wide Open. If you don't follow Eyes Wide on YouTube yet, make sure you do. You're going to give me some historical legitimacy here because you're more thorough than I am on these matters. But we're talking about the Venezuelan rendition of Maduro, but mostly about the historical corollary here, the historical rhyming here of Noriega's in the invasion of Panama and the kidnapping of Manuel Noriega. 26 years to the day, actually, I think. I
think it was 36 years. Yeah.
36 years to the day. Which is crazy.
It has to be on purpose, right? Like they had to had that in mind, right?
Well, the story we're getting is that Trump just got so mad at Maduro dancing that it had to happen then, right?
Right, for stealing his moves, right?
For stealing his moves. Yeah, but hey, imitation is the highest form of flattery. I don't know why he'd be so mad about that. But yeah, it makes you wonder either if you're into numerology, or if, I think Matt Crispin always says they're dabbing on us.
I mean, probably, right? I mean, I think of this sort of stuff, like you think about 9/11, and then 9/11 1973 being the Chilean coup as well. It's like these weird kind of parallels in history. But I think what's so kind of prescient about this is that it's pretty much exactly the same operation that happened 36 years apart. With 9/11 and the coup in Chile, not really comparable. I mean,
no.
kind of different deep events in that sense. But this is just such a parallel,
It is remarkably similar. And what is funny too is that they're using. You're seeing a lot of people write in the media that the Noriega Panama invasion legitimizes the Maduro Venezuela invasion and kidnapping, being like, see, we
Yeah.
did it already. It's fine. It's the exact same thing. We can do it again. We didn't get in any trouble for it the first time, which is funny because, and we'll get into this, the Panama invasion was completely illegal, like wholesale, fabricated, like against all the rules, which I guess the Venezuelan was too. So I guess that part is similar, but I do think that Maduro and Noriega are two very different figures, and so I think it's very important we get into that and how they're not the same. And in fact, I think there's even less of a legal case for the invasion of Venezuela and the rendition of Maduro than there was for Noriega.
Well, Noriega, right, like starting just at the sort of ground level, was a complete stooge of the CIA and U.S. foreign apparatus. I mean, from basically the beginning. I mean, I sent you that article earlier, and I was reading it, and they sort of intimate in the article that from all the way back to 1960. The CIA had a relationship with Noriega. So it goes from like the ground floor when he was studying in Peru, right at the beginning of his career. So it's like this guy was a stooge for 30 years. And, what's the, I mean, I hate to be quoting Kissinger here, but it's, what is it? It's dangerous to be an enemy of the United States. It's lethal to be an ally. It's kind of that same kind of concept, like as soon as a U.S. ally becomes sort of, they pass their expiry date, it's over. It's always over,
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of how the sort of ground level interpretation anyways.
And I do want to kind of, Noriega doesn't figure much, I think, into the American imagination anymore. I think that when you hear Noriega, I think I hear like rap songs. I think there's like a Rick Ross song where he says like the real Noriega, where they've kind of turned him into a kind of Scarface type figure, like a badass drug dealer.
Well, isn't there a rapper too named Noriega?
Yes,
like
there
the
is.
Host of Drink Champs.
And Noriega is pretty good at rapping too. I like his songs. Yeah. So I think that they turned him into, or they have so bastardized who Noriega really was. But I think before we get into Noriega, let's talk about Panama a little bit. I think contextualize the quote unquote country, and I'm using scare quotes here, country of Panama. Like all of Central and South America, Panama has just for hundreds of years been besieged by Western interests.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, the country of Panama, much like Noriega himself, is an aberration of of the United States. I mean, if you look back to the beginning of the history of that country, at the turn of the century, so early 1900s, well, it kind of comes back to the canal, right? Originally, the United States wanted to build the canal in Nicaragua, and that proved difficult for many reasons. It was extremely difficult to traverse swampland. There was widespread malaria, which existed in the creation of the Panama Canal as well.
So many people died in the creation of the Panama Canal.
Yes, but the Nicaraguan canal was a failure. So I mean the United States, that's another history to get into, is the history of the United States and Nicaragua. That goes back even further. But it was realized that it would be extremely challenging to build this canal, so they abandoned the site in Nicaragua. And then under the Roosevelt administration, so Teddy Roosevelt at the turn of the century, they start to support sort of, or even like, I would go so far to say they create a separatist movement in northern Colombia in the modern day country of Panama, and they kind of create this nation state out of nothing by just sending weapons and material support to these sort of rebel groups in modern day country of Panama, and they create this country from nothing in order to eventually build a canal there, which they do. I believe the canal is finished before 1910, I believe. And from that, they also pick up the U.S. Canal Zone as well, which is which was a piece of sovereign U.S. territory in sort of adjacent to the canal. So in that, not only did they create a compliant client state, they pick up a canal and they pick up an actual U.S. territory in Central America, where I'm sure we'll get into this, where they eventually built Fort Gulick, which houses the School of the Americas, where Noriega actually studies as well.
Yes, and Panama, the land of Panama, was a part of Colombia initially, and
Yes.
what a 1,000-day war was waged to declare its independence from Colombia, which was obviously uh, uh, egged on by U.S. interests. Um, so even the creation of Panama, as we know it today, is only like 130 some years old.
That's right.
Uh, Now, they imported tons of foreign labor to dig these canals because first you had the French attempt at building the canal that
That's right. Yep.
failed, and then the Americans took over and completed it. But they completed it with slave labor. I mean, we're
Yes.
talking about actual like people from India and indigenous people and Africans were all imported to the quote unquote country of Panama to dig this canal under slave labor conditions. And
probably the
then
most nightmarish thing we could ever imagine, right, is working in this on this fucking canal in 1905. Some of the most nightmarish conditions. You're talking disease, you're talking, just it's everything is wet all the time. You're walking through, there's water up to your knees everywhere. It's just the most nasty conditions you can imagine. So yeah, absolutely.
And then these slaves who were imported to this country stayed. Those who did survive stayed, but lived in basically Jim Crow type conditions under a white ruling overclass. And so, yeah, it's always a good deal for anybody who gets involved with a United States project in Central and South America.
Well, when you talk about this sort of expansion of slavery into Panama, it makes me think of the Knights of the Golden Circle. I don't know if you've ever heard about these guys during the American Civil War, who had this vision of creating like an American, proto-technate. The technate comes later in the turn of the century as well, but creating like an American empire that stretches from from the Northeast, so from New England all the way down to Panama. And the reason for this would be to expand new slave states into Central America. And this was known as, at the time, as filibustering. And you'd have American adventurers go to Central America and try to overthrow the governments there to create new slave states. In Nicaragua, they succeeded for a couple of years under William Walker. So you can kind of see this Panama experiment as a continuation of that same sentiment of wanting to expand slavery or sort of re-spark slavery within Central America.
Yeah, I remember reading about, I think it was in Brazil even, I can't remember which South American country, still has these vestiges of those post-Confederate slave owning communities. So these weird pockets of just like white people in the middle of the jungle who are still, I think, hoping to bring back chattel slavery.
Yeah, and these losers, they all dress up in their like Confederate uniforms and they wave, the Dixie flag. It's a load of crap. I mean, look it up if you haven't seen it before, dear viewer. Look up a Brazil Confederate village. It's like the pictures are surreal.
So, sorry, I'm gonna make sure I'm getting the right name here. So basically, you have this country that is a client state of the United States. Now, it doesn't run so smoothly necessarily. There are constant uprisings of working class black and brown people in Panama trying to have some semblance of human dignity. And interestingly, they get that with Omar Torrijos.
Yes.
Who became the military leader, basically like socialist-ish dictator. He wasn't a communist. He didn't really fuck with communism or the Soviet Union, I don't think. But he was a populist military figure. I think he actually really liked Tito.
Right.
Huge fan of Tito. And that's how he kind of, that's the figure he looked up to. And so he took over in a military coup in Panama, I think in 1967.
Yeah, that sounds correct. Yeah.
And became a massively popular figure in Panama. We're talking all different kinds of socialist reforms that gave the black and brown working people of Panama dignity and rights and financial stability.
Yep.
Of course, that would not last too long. He actually signed a very controversial treaty with Jimmy Carter in 1977 to give the country of Panama the canal in 2000. Now, it's still unclear why Jimmy Carter did that exactly.
So, I mean, there's a lot to say about this sort of the Carter Treaty and just the kind of the Carter White House and realignment of the U.S.'s intelligence apparatus as well at the same time. I mean, I think Carter was trying to trying to thaw the United States' sort of relationships with Latin America. You could see it as kind of a revival of Roosevelt's good neighbor policy during the Second World War. Now that could be debated, of course, but I think you can really chart this in parallel with what was going on at the CIA at the same time. So when Carter comes in, he appoints a new CIA director who's an Admiral Stansfield Turner, who's a total outsider of the CIA. He's not one of these old boys, right? And he's brought in essentially to clean house, to take out all the malignant elements that were revealed through the Church Committee and all these, the year of intelligence under Ford. So he brings in Stansfield Turner, and there's something called the Halloween Massacre in 1977, where a ton of the top CIA bureaucracy is axed. Included in this are George H.W. Bush, interestingly enough, who key player in Panama.
He'll come back into play here in a big way.
Exactly. Yeah. James Jesus Angleton gets axed as well. All these sort of old boys that are still floating around, Richard Helms, they all get kind of cut out, and the CIA becomes, or they try to reform the CIA. We all know that's, easier said than done, but all of these top CIA officers get cut, and they create essentially their own private CIA out of that, which then gets reappropriated under Reagan under like the Iran-Contra scandal and all those networks. But what's interesting here is that, Bush gets kicked out of the CIA in 1977, I believe, and he was CIA director at the time. And just around that time is when also the Panama Canal Treaty is happening. And this is when Bush supposedly is renewing his long-term relationship with Noriega, who is second in command in the government there. So you can see these things happening in parallel. And of course, sorry, I'm blanking on his name here. Omar Torrijos. And of course, Omar Torrijos gets killed in a plane crash, or dies in a plane crash in 1981, opening the way for Noriega to take power. And of course, there's been a lot of speculation about if Noriega played a role in this. I mean, it seems almost too convenient, if you ask me. And just on the eve of, or right in the middle of, when the Reagan government is trying to arm the Contras as well. So all of this is happening kind of at the same time. So that said, I mean, I think that you could see that Omar Torrijos was really threatening U.S. interests in Panama. And you can see that the Carter White House was open to negotiations, which was untenable to the old hands at the CIA. So
I guess, Jimmy Carter doesn't deserve pure hatred. There were some attempted reforms on his part, I suppose.
I mean, he was definitely, I'd say more of a liberal than his predecessor and his successor. I mean,
low bar.
I mean, yeah, I don't think he's some sort of hero or anything, but I think it's, I don't know. I think in terms of the situation in Panama, I think he made the right choice there, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah.
So because there's so many moving pieces here, I think we have to go back in time now and talk a bit more about, Senor Manuel Noriega.
Yeah.
He, very early on, joined the military and had a bizarre relationship with Helms, Richard Helms.
Really?
Richard Helms saw something. So there's this book called The Right Hand Man. I haven't read the book yet, but I was listening to the author, Killian Dunn, this Irish journalist who hung out with Carlos Whitman, who was Noriega's right-hand man. and got some very interesting information out of this guy to kind of fill in a lot of the blanks about who Noriega actually was and what he was actually doing. Richard Helms very early on took Noriega under his wing, and Noriega, School of Americas. I think he also trained in Peru.
Yes.
Also became an ally and mentor to Omar Torrijos, and but at the same time, and this is what's I think it's important to see who Noriega really was, which was like a very clever, duplicitous character who it's hard to tell what his ideology was exactly, other than just like his own personal empowerment, I guess.
I mean, he was kind of just like this like blanket strongman type, like almost comparable to Saddam Hussein in a sense, who could kind of toe the line between, a U.S. ally, U.S. puppet, and then also to like, be more of like a populist leader, kind of like if you look at, Saddam Hussein, he could kind of play that Arab nationalist card while also being, sometimes a U.S. stooge. Noriega kind of did the same thing. Sometimes he played his kind of agrarian socialist card, and then sometimes, or oftentimes, he was a U.S. puppet.
Well, the way that it was described by the author Killian Dunn was he took out the U.S. trash for a long period of time. So while he was like working with Omar Torrijos and his populist socialist-ish reforms, he was working for the United States simultaneously. Yeah. He was actually playing both sides against each other. So even though Torrijos was like considered to be his friend and ally, he was selling him out to the CIA and to the United States, and vice versa. So during the negotiations with Carter, he was funneling information to the United States as well. And he was on the payroll. I can't remember what date he was exactly officially on the CIA payroll, but it was.
Well, I was reading from from his time in Peru in the early '60s. He was already giving information to a CIA handler, and so it's I think he was on the payroll for decades.
And very early on, when he was in Peru, he was snitching on fellow students for their communist sympathies.
Yes,
so
yes.
That's a great way to move up in the world, is to tattletale. So
absolutely. And if you look at Peru, like Peru becomes basically a CIA state in the 80s under Fujimori, right? Because Fujimori, his main like advisor, or they call him a dark eminence, is this like actual CIA asset, like who, much like Noriega, who goes through the whole process, and he becomes kind of the de facto leader of Peru behind the the smiling face of Fujimori. So you kind of see this same trajectory going on, and this kind of falls under the broader Operation Condor umbrella, right? Where the CIA and other Latin American security apparatuses are working together to create this kind of like terror network to keep everything controlled. And then obviously like all the dirty wars and everything, and the information sharing between all these countries in terms of training each other's security forces. And that brings us to the important key of Panama and the School of the Americas as sort of the central hub of training these death squads throughout Latin America and even in Asia as well.
Yeah, I mean, fuck, it's try not to get depressed while talking about these things, but it is truly sinister, truly dark. And Noriega, you could say he was an overall bad guy. I mean, it's always, and this is, we'll get into this too with Maduro, where we have to paint these people in particular ways, or contextualize them. But it's very easy for their removal to be portrayed in American media as a good thing. Because look at this bad guy. Look at how bad he is, and it's better without him, right? And then you find yourself in this position being like, yeah, of course I don't like support Noriega, but Noriega is also developing contacts with drug cartels and also the Cuban government, interestingly enough. So he's playing all sides. He's also he starts to, I think in 73 the DEA is formed, and he starts working for the DEA. He also develops a relationship with the Mossad. Of course, Israel's going to play in this.
Oh
this
yeah,
story.
no, the Mossad link is actually crazy. Like like the Israeli like defense industry was using Noriega as essentially an agent to sell basically Uzi submachine guns and armored cars, I believe, as well, to all the other Central American republics that had these sort of tin pot dictators, right? So they were using Panama as like an enterport to like sell to all the different. It's extremely kind of cynical in a sense, and that history of Israel and Central America is extremely fascinating if you haven't already read about it.
I mean, it starts with bananas. I did an episode about this a while back that bananas helped create the state of Israel, and the bananas in Israel are still pretty closely involved. Although I can't think of too many quote unquote Israeli dishes that include bananas. Interestingly enough.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of too many Israeli dishes in general, but no, like so it starts like in the 1930s, like when Israel, when like all the sort of paramilitaries are going in mandatory Palestine. Lansky and his gang are funneling weapons to the Haganah and all these paramilitaries through Central America. That's kind of like their enterport. So there, you can kind of see a bidirectionality there, where Central America was sending weapons to Israel, and then the Israelis were then arming these dictatorships later in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s. And the interesting thing about all this is that, you know, it's this all then leads into Iran-Contra, as well as the Israeli element of Iran-Contra runs right through Panama as well.
So it's not until 1983 that Noriega becomes the head of the state of Panama. Now, he's never elected president.
No.
There's always a president underneath him. But he is de facto ruler of Panama. And this was 2 years after the assassination of Omar Torrijos. Let's like be fucking real about this. Like, you know, it's all, the timing's convenient. And eyewitness testimony said that no, the plane didn't just smash into the side of a mountain; it blew up in midair.
Yeah, and I mean the CIA was doing this shit all over the place in the 70s and 80s.
And still
this
doing
was,
it. But
of course, yeah. I mean they just, you know, this is old hat, right? I mean,
and so before we get into Noriega as like the leader of Panama, I think like it's important to kind of like look at him in this way. It's contextualize him a bit more. As like we said, like this duplicitous character, this a creation of the intelligence state, and so up until this point, he was a good soldier to the United States. Most likely being involved with the assassination of Torrijos. If he didn't like personally plant the bomb on the plane, the CIA certainly did. And because if you're working that closely with the CIA, like it's a difference without distinction, you know?
Yes,
or distinction without difference. So in 1983, he becomes the leader of Panama, but he is also, you know, there's a lot of shit going on in Central America
to say the
in
least.
The 80s. I think 3 separate civil wars. You have Guatemala, El Salvador, and of course the
Nicaragua.
Sandinistas in Nicaragua.
Yeah,
and he is a part of all of this. I mean, he is involved in it. He becomes deeply involved in the drug trade as well, which I think had been going on for quite some time too.
Well, he gets in at the ground floor of the Medellin cartel out of Colombia as well. He becomes kind of their agent to help them shuffle their dope into the United States. So yeah, he's on the ground floor of that, and that's during the time when the Colombian government is trying to put down the Medellin cartel. Noriega kind of acts as their lifeline to keep the dope flowing,
and he even takes God, what's the big boss in the Medellin cartel? I'm blanking right now.
Oh, it's oh shit.
I know.
Yeah, it's not El Chapo. It's
no.
Fuck,
hold on.
Oh, it's Pablo Escobar.
Yes. Escobar, I think, murders an official in Colombia and then takes refuge in Panama.
Yes.
Under Noriega's protection. So what's funny is that the United States government knew about this the CIA certainly helped facilitate Noriega's drug trafficking. So there's no shocker there that here you have like a major player in narco trafficking. Even though, funny enough, Noriega, he gives a speech at the UN about narco terrorism.
Nice.
And how to combat it.
Which, I mean, he would know, right? I mean, he'd have the tips, right?
Yeah. Which is also something I think that the rampant hypocrisy when it comes to drug trafficking by these leaders who are themselves the largest narco traffickers in the world is appalling to me.
Well, it's like I saw this thing where it was like, if Trump actually wants to stop narco trafficking in Latin America, he should just tell the CIA to stop already. Right. Most of the dope coming into the United States, I believe anyways, is being done by the intelligence agencies. And,
right.
I mean, it goes back to, you mentioned the DEA. And I remember in the article I sent you earlier, it talks a little bit about the creation of the DEA under Nixon. And how that was sort of a flashpoint before Watergate, where Nixon was getting all these reports from the DEA. Well, I don't know if I really believe that, because, the first guys he puts in charge of the DEA are E. Howard Hunt, who, CIA officer who's been all over Latin America, and has participated in by that point, half a dozen coups. He puts Lou Conin, the guy who killed Ngo Dinh Diem in South Vietnam, and who originally set up the opium connection in China at the end of World War II, and all these other like CIA connected narco guys in the early DEA. So it's like, you look at this and it's like, well, no wonder the DEA does nothing for trying to stop, narco trafficking, because from the get-go, they were the main movers,
People don't know that there were no such things as cartels until the DEA came into power.
Yeah.
The Mexican drug cartels did not exist until the DEA. What a coincidence. I want to do a little aside here too, to my listeners who still occasionally enjoy a little a bump of cocaine. Fucking stop doing it. Not only is it a terrible drug, but it is so supremely evil. You are funding the most evil people in the world when you do cocaine. I don't typically like to believe in consumer activism, that it shouldn't be up to the individual to change the world, but you can stop doing fucking cocaine. All right. Like,
consumer
please.
Activism is a funny way to put it. Yeah. Boycott coke.
Literally boycott cocaine. You should shame everybody who does it.
Ask your dealer for the fair trade.
Yes. If it's fair trade cocaine, fine. Make your own. I was just thinking that it's actually more ethical and moral to smoke meth than to do cocaine.
Hey, brother, you're supporting, American workers, supporting the American meth cook.
Bring it home.
Yeah, bring it home. Yeah. Reshoring, baby.
Sorry. So that was a little of a tangent here. So 1983, Noriega comes into power. And he is faced with a lot of, some complicated things going on. At this point, like you said, when HW takes back over, he actually doubles Noriega's official salary to $200,000 per year. Although that is such an underestimate. I mean, Noriega was paid in the many, many millions by the United States.
He was taking all the share of the coke money too. Let's be honest.
I mean, it's so. But things start to turn sour for Noriega and the United States in the middle of the 1980s. And according to Killian Dunn, this is because Noriega actually hated the Contras.
Yeah.
He said he literally called them animals. That's how bad they were. I mean, you're talking about Noriega, a fucking thug who was absolutely part of all kinds of murders and criminality, saw the Contras and was like, yo, fuck these guys. Like, these are really bad people. And I don't think people realize like just how horrific the Contras were, thanks to the training of the United States and Israel, by the way.
Oh yeah. No, and he was definitely worried about spillover. I mean, I don't think it was actually on any kind of ideological grounds. It was just like shit, like the CIA is really arming these Contras to the teeth. Like if they decide that they want to come in and cause some damage in northern Panama, wouldn't be that hard to do. I mean, it's, I don't think he wanted to deal with an insurgency on his northern border, and
No.
understandably. I mean, there's Costa Rica there in between as sort of a buffer, but I mean, Costa Rica, that's where the CIA was flying in all the weapons, you know, famously on John Hall's ranch. And that's where Barry Seal was doing his flights too. So, you know, you're pretty close.
Another guy who got murdered or rendered by George H.W. Bush. So a lot of Noriega's initial contacts, Oliver North included, start to turn against Noriega because he stops cooperating as easily with the United States. I think he also denied certain or more military bases, more U.S. military bases being built in Panama.
Well, critically, he gets the School of the Americas to leave Panama as well and relocate to, I can't remember now, it's escaping me, but back to the United States.
Mm-hmm. So I think it's in Miami. I think that's where the School of America.
Nice. I mean, that fits. That fits.
Yeah. And so very quickly, Noriega is no longer referred to in the media as a military leader. He is a strongman dictator, right?
A thug,
A thug. And I think in that article you sent me, I think it said only 2% of Americans at this point were worried about drug trafficking.
Right.
Probably because the cocaine was really good in the 80s as well.
I mean, it must have been incredible. Let's be honest.
But then I think the media blitz occurs and they start portraying Manuel Noriega as this like evil drug dealer. And now I think it bumps all the way up to 38% of Americans now are all of a sudden concerned about drug trafficking.
Well, and of course, you then have it as well spun as a sort of a race issue as well with the epidemic, crack cocaine epidemic, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's okay if white folks are snorting cocaine, but as soon as it's black people smoking crack cocaine, it becomes an issue in conservative America, right? It's a story as old as time.
And another aside here, the man, Gary Webb, who exposed the CIA's flooding black communities with crack cocaine, was besmirched or had his entire reputation ruined by the likes of Tucker fucking Carlson, who, I don't know if you saw that recent thing where in Trump's meeting with the oil execs over Venezuela, you see Tucker clapping Trump as he walks by him. So anyone who still fucking thinks Tucker is on your side or speaking the truth is fucking dope.
It's like, pretty incredible. I mean, he switches his positions so quickly that I'm shocked that people even take him seriously on anything.
They do. I mean, God, I this is another aside. It is Florida related, so I guess it's kind of an extension of Panama. But there's a guy running for governor named James Fishback, and he just was on the Tucker Carlson show. I know, it's a terrible fucking name.
Where do they find these names, man?
What does your family do? Like, where does that name come from?
Like fucking fish? I don't know. Like what?
But listen to this guy's voice, James Fishback. He talks like he does this weird kind of Elizabeth Holmes kind of voice, and
nice.
He's clearly faking it the whole time. And Tucker's fucking swallowing, just like fucking jerking this guy off. So God, it makes me so fucking mad. I'm getting so mad these days too.
Oh, he's a shrewd bastard, that Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
You think he's gonna run for president?
No, I don't think so. I think he's more powerful as like a media figure. Because once you're president, then you got like people will blame you for things when things go awry. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he's is like narcissistic and delusional enough to think that he could run the world. Why not?
Probably, yeah. But he looks too busted now with that Ozempic face.
He does look strange. He's looking like an elder lesbian these days. So Noriega starts becoming the enemy of the United States, and the American media starts portraying him as such. The United States quickly starts putting economic sanctions on Panama. Does that sound familiar? And so for years, the people of Panama are suffering. They're like just their quality of life is depreciating thanks to American economic sanctions.
Yeah.
And an election is meant to be held, and the opposition party to Noriega wins the election. Now, this is, I think, I do want to pause and kind of talk about these kinds of elections that occur that the United States uses as evidence of like despotism and dictatorship and authoritarianism.
Yeah.
When these people are voting for bread, basically, these people are voting under incredibly hostile conditions. And to say that even if, I think his name was Andorra, won legitimately, quote unquote, the Panamanian election, is that actual democracy when a foreign country is punishing another country and bullying them into voting for someone saying stop hitting yourself is kind of what it feels like.
Yeah, absolutely. And just as a further extension, a lot of these sort of these elections in Latin America are certified by the OAS, the Organization of American States, which is itself an organ of the United States. So, you got to really ask yourself, it's these elections would be pretty easy to not to manipulate, but to manipulate the results around them, or to manipulate the narrative around the results.
Right.
I know with Maduro specifically.
It
was always like, if the election went Maduro's way, it was illegitimate, and if it went the opposition's way, it's extremely legitimate and he needs to go. It's this kind of a double standard where, they're either all legitimate or they're all illegitimate, but that's not the way the OAS portrays it, right?
The people yearn for freedom. Come on.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So
what's her name? Machado? Is that the name of the Nobel Prize winner?
Yeah. Babe, you fucked up taking that Nobel Prize. You should have immediately handed that thing over to Trump, like they did the Club World Cup, the Chelsea, the soccer club. He just literally gave him the trophy and let him walk away with
FIFA
it.
Peace Prize, right?
They gave, that was that too. But so the Club World Cup happened this summer, and Trump was there because it was held in, I think, in New York, and Trump was there celebrating with Chelsea, and he literally walks off with their trophy.
Nice.
He
it's probably on his shelf now.
Things. Oh, he literally took it. He literally
took it.
He literally took it.
Oh
yes.
My God.
Yeah, and you saw that with Infantino, the head of FIFA. When he came and let Trump borrow the World Cup trophy. We'll see if he gives it back.
We'll see.
It's all so fucking. It's such a joke.
They're also cucked too.
It's so embarrassing. It's like there's no honor, and that's where I'll give Noriega some credit here. Like he could have rolled over, and probably stayed in power for a while longer. But he did put his thumb in the eye of the United States. He was like, "No, fuck you. Like, I don't like the way you're treating me." He was narcissistic enough, had enough like sense of honor in himself, in some fucked up way, that he's like, "No, fuck you. Like, I'm not gonna like play ball with you anymore."
Well, I think this kind of plays into the broader sense of martyrdom within Latin America. Right. And this idea, and you can see this with Maduro as well. And this is kind of my own personal take, that Maduro, in a way, I think he sacrificed himself for the continuance of the Bolivarian Revolution. And he understood that in sacrificing himself, he will become a popular martyr in a way that he never could have been if he had remained president. The propagandistic significance of this act of him being perp walked down, giving the 2 thumbs up, just looking like an absolute boss.
Yeah, he's swagged out. He's so,
in
aura,
the face of
face of
the most sophisticated and brutal empire in human history, you don't get those propaganda victories anywhere else. So I think Noriega might have had a similar calculus.
Yeah, and it's something the American mind cannot possibly comprehend.
No. But on that note, all these rappers, right? Noriega has transcended that image and has become kind of a popular folk hero within hip hop, right? In that certain sense. And that picture, his mugshot, is legendary. It's legendary. He just looks like a figure, an icon, So
no, and when you say the word Noriega, it doesn't inspire the same kind of, I think, revulsion that other despotic names or authoritarian names might. I certainly don't think he's I don't know. I mean, I see that one funny Twitter account that's like a Noriega revisionist.
Yes, yeah,
account.
Yeah. They removed him because he was a socialist or something. Which,
something.
Yeah,
it's
okay.
like, yeah, all right.
Well, it's like Michael Parenti saying that too, which I found kind of surprising. The clip, I think, was Parenti, wasn't it?
Well, Michael Parenti had, I think, I don't think he valorized him to that extent, but he certainly did speak highly of Noriega in his in some of his lectures, and maybe that's just because he stood up to the United States. So these elections are held. Noriega cancels them when it's clear that the opposition party, the United States party, basically is going to win.
Yeah.
And then they beat on the streets a lot of these characters. Now, if that was Noriega's instructions to his little mini paramilitaries to do that, who knows? Or if that was the United States, because it created a incredible photo op for the United States of this bloodied and battered opposition party member on the streets, like getting hit with a stick. He's wearing this white shirt, and his shirt is soaked in blood. And that was what it took for now the United States to be like, okay, we are going to amp up the pressure. And the United States sent, I mean, there were already military bases in Panama, but Bush, who was president at the time, starts sending in troops. And this is where it's quite clear that they are trying to design a situation to legitimize an invasion of Panama.
Yes, absolutely. It's this has been seen throughout U.S. coups. Is this the optics of it, and what you're saying about these street clashes are often a sort of hallmark of a CIA coup. Like look at for example in Iran in 1953, they hired circus performers and sort of street rabble to cause riots in Tehran on the eve of the CIA coup. Same thing happens in Guatemala in 1954. They bring out all these sort of gangs of thugs to start trouble in the streets to make it look like there's this, to make it look like the government in power is doing this sort of repression right before the CIA coup kicks in. So it's classic work.
And what happens is skirmishes between the PDF, the Panamanian Defense Forces, and the U.S. forces that are stationed around these bases. And the way that the United States tries to portray it is that it was the Panamanians who were being the aggressors. But in this great documentary, I don't know if you got to see the whole thing, called The Panama Deception, which actually won an Oscar.
Wow.
It shows a very different. It reveals a very different story. That the United States was the aggressor. The United States was the one trying to create these events, these violent events, so that it would legitimize their further incursion into Panamanian sovereignty. So combined with this, you had, I think there was a kidnapping of a CIA agent by Noriega. I think his name was Kurt Muser.
Yeah.
And Delta Force was actually deployed. So another parallel here between Delta Force in Venezuela, Delta Force in Panama. Delta Force is deployed to release him from a prison in Panama, and they do that while killing scores of civilians.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if Delta Force is much better, but the description of the way Delta Force did it, they lost a helicopter. They were kind of bumbling buffoons, which I think they still are, and I'm sure they're on the equal amounts of cocaine as today as they were then.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And at this point, tensions are ramping up, and on December 15th, 1989, Noriega, this is what's said in the U.S. media, declares war on the United States, which legitimizes the United States' upcoming invasion of Panama. However, that is not what actually happened. And Parenti was the one who, I think, spoke about this at length. Let me find the quote here. Yes, the news media said, yes, Panama has just declared war on the United States, which is also just how the fuck would that even work? The United States had jurisdiction to try Noriega. Hold on, let me make sure I get this right one. No, that's not it. Oh,
the prospects of Panama declaring war on the United States are hilarious. I mean,
yeah,
it's
right.
Like it's just like, it's literally, what is it, the coughing baby versus the hydrogen bomb,
Yeah,
like,
literally.
Yeah.
So in mid-December, just days before Bush's invasion of Panama, ABC's Ted Koppel reported that Noriega had declared war on the United States. Others in the media made the same unsupported assertion. Instead, Noriega, who was just then making peace offers to opposition leaders, was quoted by Reuters as saying that the United States, quote, through constant psychological and military harassment, has created a state of war in Panama, end quote.
Right.
So, I mean, we're seeing this today right now, especially with Venezuela and God, so much with Iran right now, is the ways in which the American news media is just fucking lying to you. And just like letting the way people are swallowing this fucking propaganda is so frustrating. It's like, how do you fall for it again and again and again and again?
Exactly. And it's like, it's not even that sophisticated anymore.
No.
At least in the early 2000s, they had to come up with a story. They had to have Colin Powell out there with the vial. They had to say, oh, there's weapons of mass destruction. They're getting the uranium in Chad or whatever else, right? The yellow cake. They had to create this whole mythology around it, right? Nowadays, it's not even, they don't even need to lie. I mean, Trump goes out there and he says, oh, we're actually just going there to get the oil, and we're doing this for the oil companies, and it's like, it's just naked. And I think that there maybe people have it twisted, that they're like, oh, this is good leadership because at least he's being honest, right? People maybe, people don't want to be bullshitted anymore. They're like, if we're an imperial powerhouse, tell me we're a fucking imperial powerhouse, and tell me we're going there for imperialistic ends. And then, again, this is where there's that 35% that are, that have, extremely troublesome beliefs, to put it as mildly as possible, in the United States. And but yeah, people, I think, just want to hear the true story, and they don't give a shit anymore. People don't care that this is happening, and they want America to be unapologetic and be exceptional and do this, because what we're seeing here is seemingly a decline. And I think that this is just trying to reverse that decline through scrambling old school imperialism. Will it work? I don't think so. I think this is the collapse we're seeing here, the start of the beginning of the end.
Yeah, and as much as I root that on, it's just like, damn, what's that gonna mean for us? What's the United States gonna turn into when it inevitably turns inward? I mean, this kind of bloodlust will go somewhere. It's not gonna just dissipate. The bloodlust will turn inward.
Like, brother, I'm in Canada, and I ask myself these questions every day. If there's U.S. troops, marching down my street, what the hell am I going to do? You
have to hope that there's a slight incline, because they won't make it all the way up there. That's what you have to hope for. Live on top of a mountain. I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's one way to look at it, I guess. I mean, the other way is that it's that this is a regime that is evil, and that needs to be resisted in one way or the other. And I just hope that what's happening right now, with ICE agents shooting American citizens, American mothers, and all this.
Sorry, dude, she's a lesbian. She doesn't deserve to live, according to everybody on the internet. I don't know. Yeah, but, no, it's very discouraging. It's very discouraging.
Seriously, I hope that this is going to wake people up to the sort of existential threat that the U.S. empire is posing to, regular people across the country, across the world, and that it awakens a sort of a revolutionary zeal here. I really hope so.
I hope so too. But then you have people like Nick Fuentes, who are cheering on ICE's brutalism of American civilians. And it's not as bad as what the Israelis do to Palestinians, but it's the same logic. It's the same behavior. And so whenever people who have fallen for the phony, the fake anti-Zionism of Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes, who are at the same time ushering in the exact same sort of Zionist ethno-nationalism to this country. It's like, again, please stop falling for it. It's the same thing.
Well, yeah, like Israel is the laboratory, right, for policies that would be applied at home. It's the classic imperial boomerang in a sense, that Israel's the test case, right, and they're brutalizing and genocide in Gaza, and the draconian security state and what do you call it, surveillance state that they've created. It's just a laboratory. It's I mean, this is maybe a bit off topic, but
I wanted to talk about this as well, with the way that we're talking about these foreign incursions and these local authoritarianism and brutalism, and how I get really frustrated because it's begging the question, not in the way that people misuse the term begging the question, where they mean raising the question,
right,
but actually begging the question, where you are arguing on already false pretenses.
Right.
So let's get into that after we go through a little bit more of Noriega.
Sure. I mean, we're getting close to the end here, right?
Yes. Well, because it's December 20th.
Yep.
1989, Operation Just Cause, which is such a fucking funny name. I mean, always so bad.
This is Bush that came up with this shit. Yeah, you know it. Yeah, we'll call it Operation Just Cause.
Yeah, which is funny because it also could just mean just cause, just cause I feel like it, just cause.
That's good.
Yeah.
I think of Just Cause. The video game series Just Cause?
No.
So there's a video game series called Just Cause, and all the games you're essentially playing this like CIA agent in like Latin American and like.
Is it based off of this operation then?
So I probably the name is inspired by, because it's almost like if we want to talk about the propagandistic like elements out of this, right? Is that like this Just Cause video game, you're playing this basically super soldier that goes into these like tin pot dictatorships and blows up all the infrastructure to like cause a revolution.
Oh my god!
Like it's actually like the parallels are quite staggering.
Yeah. No, they're not subtle. Not subtle about anything. So on December 20th, this is when the invasion occurs, and I think that at least the way it's remembered, I think the only moment that people really talk about is actually weeks later, when Noriega is holed up in the Vatican embassy in Panama City and they're blasting music at him.
Yep.
But no, this was like a significant military incursion into Panama, and many thousands of people died, mostly civilians, even though that part is completely hidden and not reported on.
Well, it always gets talked about as an almost surgical strike, right? Like because I feel like Bush, like it has gained this mythology in American media of just being this like sort of this wizard, this foreign policy genius that could pull off these surgical strikes. And that's back when U.S. interventionism was under Bush 1, right? The Gulf War, most people remember that as being this surgical strike. We're going to go in there and we're going to protect our allies. Same thing in Panama. We're going to take out the narco terrorists and do it so cleanly. But of course, this is all a myth.
And this is how NPR described it in an article comparing it to the Venezuelan invasion. Panama is widely seen as a bright spot in a history of U.S. operations in Latin America that have included CIA-backed coups in Guatemala and Chile. John Feely, a career diplomat who served as U.S. ambassador to Panama during the second Obama administration. Oh, I fucking hate. When I hear the word Obama, I just get so fucking mad.
Yeah.
Said the U.S. invasion in 1989 had a positive impact on the country. Quote, the major result was a democratic system with self-determination, peaceful transfer of governance. Peaceful is very funny.
Yeah,
and
nice.
After an invasion.
Yeah.
And an economy that actually took off and did very, very well. Speaking of Panama, which has some of the highest wealth inequality in the world, by the way.
Yes.
But we'll get to the post invasion Panama in a minute. But in the meantime, and during this invasion, which I think was a very interesting precursor to Desert Storm, which would happen a year later. Especially, people say Desert Storm was like the first time we got to like watch war live on TV.
Yes. Well, CNN and all that, right? Comes out of the
But actually, I think the Panama invasion was first, and the way that it was spoken about in real time, and of course you had just total manufacturing consent of American media. And this is from Parenti here. NBC's Tom Brokaw exclaimed on December 20th, 1989, "We haven't gotten Noriega yet. We haven't gotten Noriega yet." That's what they're saying. PBS announcer Judy Woodruff concluded on the following day, "Not only have we done away with the Panamanian army, we've also done away with the police force." And the way that they're talking about it, Dan Rather referred to Noriega as a wily jungle snake and a swamp rat at the top of the list, I know, of the world's drug thieves and scums. This is supposed to be fucking journalism.
Jesus, this is the opposition, right? This is opposition, quote unquote opposition journalism. Like, give me a break.
The people who be like, I miss the days of Ted Koppel and Dan Rather. I mean, that's how, I guess, compared to Barry Weiss, you know. I guess. So you have the media just.
Can we take a break here just for a sec?
Of course.
Just a sec.
Something. Yeah.
I've got a dog in the other room that's whining, so I gotta go check on him. Make sure he's okay. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Alrighty, I'm back. Sorry about that.
No problem. We were saying, yes. So also, to some more media propaganda here, the Pentagon reported U.S. troops entering Noriega's headquarters and discovering pornography, a Hitler portrait, voodoo paraphernalia, and 100 pounds of cocaine. And this is what it turned out to be. The pornography turned out to be a Spanish language copy of Playboy. The Hitler picture was in a Time Life photo of the history of World War II. And the voodoo implements were Sambias Indian carvings. And the cocaine was nothing more than an emergency stockpile of tortilla flour. This was never corrected by the U.S. media. And we saw this. You saw this in Gaza as well. Remember, they kept being like, "Look at all we found a copy of Mein Kampf."
Yes,
a totally unread copy of Mein Kampf in Arabic or in English. I think
yes.
In Gaza. So you have the U.S. media just completely complicit in this illegal invasion of Venezuela. Because again, remember, they claimed that their legitimacy was first saying he's a narco-terrorist. They indicted him in Miami. Again, the same thing they did to Maduro, right? They're trying to try a foreign leader for drug trafficking in the United States. Of course, Noriega was an actual drug trafficker, whereas Maduro, probably not.
Probably not, no.
Probably not. And on top of that, the way that the surgical precision of these strikes, the United States military experimented on Panama. It was the first time they used stealth bombers, the first time they used Apache helicopters, the first time they used laser-guided missiles.
Right.
And it was horrific. I mean, thousands of civilians died, although the official U.S. White House number is, I think, 212 civilians, which is also not nothing. I mean, I do love how we're like, it was only 212 innocent civilians who were liquefied by our new weapons, our new toys.
It's incredible. It's like they could almost say any number in the mainstream press, and they'll pretend it's nothing.
Right?
Yeah. It's like, only 20,000 Panamanians died. Like, it could be 200,000, could be whatever. It just will never matter.
And in that documentary, Panamanian Deception, the Panama Deception, there are reports that the United States used experimental weapons on the Panamanians, and there were reports that some laser weapon they maybe used because Panamanian soldiers were found with their gun, or the soldiers were found with their guns melted into their body.
Okay, interesting. Because this is all this kind of plays into the whole SDI initiative under Reagan, right? Star Wars, right? And I wonder if that's sort of an offshoot of that, is that they were testing whatever fruits they got out of this massive, spending in Panama.
And also this documentary shows that these liberators who came to Panama were bloodthirsty goons. Not only were they just like firing into civilians and their cars, but when they were rolling tanks through, because remember in this invasion, they've rolled fucking tanks in through Panama. They were just rolling over both corpses, but also people who were stuck alive under rubble. And they were just executing people. I mean, like the amount of war crimes that occurred during this invasion are well documented in the Panama Deception. I'd recommend anybody watch it. It's free on YouTube. Check it out.
And really, that's like a really foreshadowing the like Operation Desert Storm and the invasion of Iraq as well. You think about the stories of going. I forget what the name of the highway, but it was like the highway of death. Where they were just like slaughtering whoever was in their way. Same sort of images there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's almost like programming people to be ready for that. Coming up,
especially the soldiers, because I'm sure a lot of the soldiers who went to Panama also went to Iraq.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now Noriega escapes. First, he holds up in a Dairy Queen, which is kind of funny. But then he finds himself in the Holy See, the Vatican Embassy in Panama City, where he takes refuge for close to 2 weeks. And this is where the famous music blasting occurs, where
they play Van Halen's Panama, I think, on repeat.
I found there's actually a playlist on Spotify of all the music they used, allegedly.
Nice.
I sent that to you. And I'm going to read over a few of them, because the funny thing is like, not bad songs. Actually, like not so bad. And I was thinking, well, let me read a few of the songs off to y'all.
Sure.
And you can see which ones are there. 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover by Paul Simon. Okay. Born to Run, Bruce Springsteen. I mean, they're trying to make it cute with a lot of the songs they're picking. Bring Down the Hammer, Georgia Satellites. Change, Tears for Fears. Danger Zone, Kenny Loggins. Dead Man's Party, Oingo Boingo. A lot of these bands I'm sure wouldn't have approved of such a thing. But if you look at the list of songs, not bad. Music I would listen to. And I was thinking, if they did the same thing today, like what songs would they pick? And how truly awful that music would be.
It would just be AI songs, right? It'd be like that song that Joe Rogan can't stop playing, of the 50 Cent, Smalls, or no, 50 Cent. Yeah.
Honestly, if someone played We Are Charlie Kirk for an hour straight at me, I'd fucking kill myself. So yeah, no, that technology has definitely improved. That torture is real.
Well, it makes me think of remember when the playlist leaked from Guantanamo? That they used for
Drowning Bodies, Eminem.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of that. They had some Katy Perry in there too.
Yeah. What was funny too, I read that George Bush actually disapproved of this tactic. He thought it was too cruel.
Really? Really?
Loud rock and roll obviously would George Bush would think that's terrible.
Jesus.
He's such a good guy. He's such a good guy.
Such a cool,
but real scruples on
really opposing
Poppy
cruelty
Bush there. Noriega would surrender January 2nd, which is the same day that Maduro was kidnapped, which is again like fucking
January 3rd, though, right?
January 2nd or 3rd. Anyway, it's the same day.
Because I remember, I'm you guys can blame me for this, because on January 2nd, the night of January 2nd, I was talking to my girlfriend and I was like, wow, it's been a quiet year so far. I was like, usually something's happened by now, because if you remember January 1st, 2nd, extremely quiet in terms of world events. I should have kept my mouth shut. Should have kept my damn mouth shut, because I woke up the next morning, of course. And
so it was the night of the 2nd, the morning of the 3rd.
Yes.
So the numerological parallels between Maduro and Noriega, you gotta wonder, what are the odds?
I'm sure somebody had this idea and thought this was a good little propaganda victory. You could also bring back the story of Noriega into the news media as well, pretty seamlessly, and that was always portrayed as a surgical strike, so you can kind of do the parallels between the so-called surgical strike on Maduro, which I mean, again, I don't believe that he was, I think he gave himself up personally.
I'm also of that opinion, although I know a lot of people who have a certain revolutionary zeal want to believe that he wouldn't do that. Although that's what I'm saying. I think that was a smart move on his part to keep his government intact.
Yep.
Although people point to the Cuban soldiers who were protecting him that got fucking murdered. And I was like, why would they allow their own people to get killed in this like theatrical operation? It's like, well, because they have to. Like you have to sacrifice to the gods in order to keep the theater alive. And also the way that this, I'm sure one of the deals that the Maduro government made with the United States, if they did, is like, you can have Cuba now. If you leave us intact, you can have Cuba. And that's effectively what's happening. So that part for me, I don't, maybe Maduro's martyring himself, but you'd think like the way that the United States manages to isolate all of its antagonists, all of the people who oppose the United States, the way that they do isolate them is why the United States is so successful. Because if Brazil and Colombia and Venezuela and
Mexico
and Nicaragua all like band together and be like, okay, we're in it now, we're all going to do this together, then I think the United States would second guess certain things.
Right. Like if they created like a defense pact.
Yes, but they have not, and they will not. And because they're all like looking just to kind of live a little bit longer, it really is like chemotherapy. They're really just trying to extend, like wring the last bits of life out of their power that people who are afraid of dying are too. The martyrs of Latin America, they're long gone. There isn't a Che left in Latin America today, and that's in power at least.
True. Yeah, that's very true. I think that there's I mean, you could go back to capitalist realism here, right? And that I think a lot of people have just lost sight of any kind of revolutionary optimism because it's been so long, right? That the world has been under sort of capitalist hegemony. That there's been no other conceivable option in terms of a socialist or a communist revolution, right? The only other option that's shown is, and this is by design, is Islamic extremism and sort of just like blanket lone wolf terrorism, right? That's what's shown as opposition, and of course people shy away from that, and understandably.
Not a fan personally.
No, exactly,
not a fan.
But showing this as the only other alternative, right, is I think a very by design thing, right? That like it's the only opposition to the system is not a it's not a socialist one. It's not a grassroots working class movement. It's instead these lone wolf terror attempts, and
it's a jihadi psyop is
exactly.
That's the only other option you have, which is I'm not getting behind that. So Noriega gets arrested, flown out of Panama, much like Maduro, gets a mugshot in the United States, and is sentenced to 40 years in prison, although he's released after 30 years and actually dies in Panama.
He does, yeah.
In 2017. I think of a brain hemorrhage, if I remember correctly. But the legacy of Noriega, the legacy of Panama, again, is one where it's seen as some sort of like noble victory by the United States. But again, it's anything but that. It was a highly illegal, brutal, violent invasion of a sovereign country that refused to kowtow to the U.S.'s interests. Does that sound familiar?
Absolutely. And
Yes.
to note about Panama is that their opposition to the U.S. was extremely minor. Like it's not even like they were, that Noriega was taking, like, he was, doing the full, we're, death to America thing. He was just, I don't want to arm the Contras on my border. Like this is not even like a cardinal sin. I mean, and that's all it took. That's all it took. It's as soon as you see the smallest pushback from the client, doesn't matter anymore. Might as well get him out of there and put a new guy in. So
and see, you'd think it'd be some lesson to any opposition leaders, where it's just like, it doesn't matter if you're gonna like resist the United States one iota, you might as well go all out.
Yes.
Because it doesn't fucking make a difference to them. Doesn't make a difference to the United States. And Maduro, and I think this is where I think we should start to talk about Maduro a bit and the parallels and also the differences, because I think that there are quite a few.
Absolutely.
That Maduro, you know, and you can blame Obama for a lot of this too. I can't let it go. What Obama did under when Chavez was alive, and then when Maduro was elected, because remember Maduro was democratically elected, I think 2013.
He was, yeah.
Was to completely undermine that country, and you can thanks Obama for basically killing the left in my lifetime.
Well, they start by shooting Chavez with the cancer gun.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, they start with that, right? And then, you know, and then Maduro comes in and he wins the election by pretty close margins, but he still wins. And then, you know, oil prices tank.
Because of Obama's fracking policy, by the way.
Yes. Yep. And then after that, like massive sanctions and economic warfare. And I mean, yeah, no wonder the country struggled after that. I mean, it's, you know, I think there could be some criticisms of the sort of Bolivarian revolution in that sense, that maybe they put all of their eggs in the oil basket, which might not have been the best decision in terms of diversifying an economy. But that said, you know, you work with what you have. And I think under Chavez, especially, the gains to the Venezuelan people in terms of mass literacy campaigns, you know, rural outreach, clinics, bringing, healthcare, modern healthcare to rural communities that had never had it before, are truly commendable. And
yes.
I encourage anybody who is not familiar with Chavez
but he's a dictator. I'm just so annoyed. I mean, like I hear this all the time now. Listen to Venezuelan voices. Like, listen, I get it. I don't need to. I believe you that, you know, under a besieged socialist government, that authoritarian policies would be put in place. Like, duh. Like,
yeah.
What I try to absolutely imagine, like, the United States are the barbarians at the gates, and these countries are holed up in their castles. What do you think you think there's gonna be just democracy and you can do whatever the fuck you want when you're under constant bombardment by bloodthirsty enemies? Do you think that, like, life is just gonna be normal? Like, I understand. I absolutely understand, and I'm sure that like tons of corruption occurred, as it does in these countries, and you're seeing this now with the protests in Iran and the Ayatollah, which obviously not a fan.
Yes.
I don't support the Islamic regime, but I don't know. They ask you to, like, I try to understand their calculations other than just like personal aggrievement.
Right. I mean, the big thing with this to keep in mind is that the reason that, you know, a lot of these countries that are so-called authoritarian, you know, that are, you know, the main opponents of the United States, is that previously a lot of these countries were compliant U.S. client states. You see this in Venezuela until Chavez was a very compliant U.S. I mean, I watch a lot of stock footage, right, for my YouTube channel and editing, and I have this piece of stock footage that I was watching recently with all this stuff in Venezuela, and it's an ExxonMobil travel log of Venezuela from the 1950s, where they're showing them building all the oil refineries and whatnot, and the infrastructure. So it's this history goes back a long way. And what you have to understand with this is that to keep a compliant regime in power that is purely extractionary and completely aligned with Western or with Yankee interests, you need to squash all opposition.
Mm-hmm.
So these brutal dictatorships that are put in place by the United States and their allies,
which are far worse than any socialist government, by the way.
Exactly.
That's the other thing that's so fucking infuriating to me about it, is like they are so much more violent, so much more authoritarian. Like, and they, at least with like a socialist authoritarian, they typically tend to give a little bit back to the people, like something.
There needs to be concessions, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Whereas, you take the Shah in Iran, for example, right? That 30 years of that regime decimated all civil society in Iran, leaving only one credible opposition, being the Islamic right. So that's what ends up taking power in 1979, and what is still in power today is the only credible opponent to the old Shah's regime. And that's, at the end of the day, you can blame U.S. Imperialism on squashing all other credible opposition in these countries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I know everyone wants to say that I've had some people say you're such. It's a form of American exceptionalism to think that America dictates the terms in every country.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, but it does.
I mean, they're the hegemon.
I mean, yeah. I don't see how you can't see the United States fingerprints over every single thing that happens in these countries.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's something that's frustrating is like, especially when the people who, not all of them are gusanos, obviously, the Venezuelans who have fled to the United States. But when they try to tell you about their lived experience, and that gives them some kind of authority over the truth of the situation, you're just kind of like, come on, you're fleeing to the great Satan, and I get it. I would do the same thing, if I could, if I can make my life and my family's life better, why wouldn't you? But then to go and be like, yeah, I'm glad the United States did this is crazy to me. That's because what happens next, and this is kind of what in Panama they portray. We brought democracy back. There's this clip in the Panama Deception of the vice president of Panama saying, when asked about the thousands of civilians that died in the invasion and the bombs that fell on Panama, he said, I would do it again 1,000 times to bring democracy to this to this country. This invaluable thing. And so, yeah, I think it's important to like look at what happens to the countries after they are quote unquote liberated and become democratic. I mean, I lived in Nicaragua for a year in 2006. Actually, when Ortega was reelected, interestingly enough, I was about 100 feet away from Daniel Ortega when he was campaigning. It was pretty interesting. Right. Of course, like Sandinistas of today are not the Sandinistas of the 70s and 80s, unfortunately.
And it's mostly Ortega's wife now that's running things, right?
That's what they say,
right? That's what I hear
sort of
too.
Like poet, witch, doctor, lady. I don't know,
because he's extremely old now, right? Like he's like almost in his 90s.
He's quite up there.
Yeah.
But what happened to Nicaragua in the 90s when Violeta Chamorro was elected, and Ortega, to his credit, is like, yeah, okay. Like I'll step down, and he did bide his time, and he's been in power since 2006.
Yeah.
But it was after Haiti was the poorest country in the hemisphere.
Yeah.
Life did not improve under these democratic regimes.
Never happens.
And in Panama, again, to call Panama a sovereign country, is just like not factual. I mean, it is a tax haven. It is. And still is, I think, one of the largest headquarters of the U.S. Southern Command.
Yep, yeah, and I know a lot of ships. They'll put their country of origin as Panama because of the international law. It's like Liberia is the same way. So they have you can skirt a lot of taxes and sort of registration issues by going there. So it's kind of like Sorry, go ahead.
I think about this with what's going to happen to Cuba. Which is going to absolutely break my heart because I love Cuba. I lived in Cuba for a little bit, and I just an incredible country that's untouched by the United States, and it's something to behold when you see a country that doesn't have that kind of influence.
Right.
People compare it being like that Cuba would be a much better place if the Revolutionary Party was deposed and the United States got to do what it wanted to do with it. And I'd be like, look at fucking Puerto Rico, dude.
Yeah, I mean, again, look at Dominican Republic.
Yeah. The amount of wealth inequality in Puerto Rico, and that's also technically it is U.S. territory.
It's a territory, yeah.
What it is, it's a haven for crypto pedophiles. that what you want?
Like Jake Paul there? Isn't that
Jake
where he
Paul?
lives?
Brock Pierce.
Oh, nice.
Brock Pierce owns a ton of property there. But yeah, all these crypto pedophiles are running that country now. Is that what you want? Is that fucking freedom? Is that worth it? You know, and what you're seeing now, oh my God, this fucking Carlos Guillermo, who's like a congressman in like the Miami area for Florida. He posted a picture being like Cuba soon. And it's a picture of the island of Cuba, and it has just like all different kinds of corporations pictures on it. It had like Starbucks and Tesla. It had Beyond Meat for some reason. It's just confusing. But it had just like all these luxury brands and all these things being like coming soon to Cuba. And that's how they fucking to me, it's just so obscene that's it's like they're not even trying. Like
they don't have to lie anymore. They don't have to lie. They can just be honest. Like, and people just they eat it up. They eat it up. It's like, yeah, we're gonna bring luxury back to Cuba for, you know, the 1% that ran that country before. Like, I mean, that's the thing with Cuba is that, like, you know, I tweeted about this the other day. They were talking about, you know, we got to get rid of narco terrorism in Cuba, and it's like, well, they got rid of the narco terrorism in Cuba 60 or 70 years ago when they got rid of Batista. Like, you know,
that's the one lazy thing that they keep like. I mean, what they did with Noriega, they said it was about drugs. It wasn't about drugs.
Yep.
They did that with Venezuela. They said it's about drugs. Not about drugs. I mean, especially when the United States, the CIA is the largest narco terrorist in the world. Yep. I mean, all the cocaine's coming out of Ecuador through Noboa. They pardoned the actual narco terrorist from Honduras.
Yes.
I mean,
yeah.
So it's like, and then you try to engage in good faith with some people, and they'll point this out, and you're like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Yeah.
And Marco Rubio of all, there's a great article in the Prospect that talks about how Marco Rubio's brother-in-law growing up, who he worked for, and is part of the Tiger King documentary, by the way.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Marco Rubio, his brother-in-law was one of the largest cocaine dealers in South Florida.
Nice.
And so here you have this fucking twerp. Oh my God. Like I just, it's this kind of shit that makes you want to go crazy.
I mean, give me your take on Marco Rubio in the current administration. Do you think he's there just as like a humiliation ritual for the old neocons?
I don't know if he's I think he was certainly put in there. I think he had to humiliate himself after Donald Trump.
Because you saw his little note passing thing, right? Where he passes the note yesterday and then Trump just reads it out loud. Like, and he looks mortified.
Yeah, he's like,
yeah.
I mean, I think he is like the first Trump administration, just like the person behind the wheel. The neocons have always been behind the wheel with Trump, even though everyone likes to pretend like he's anti-establishment, you know, aesthetically, but they're getting everything they want. They're getting everything they want.
And that's what I mean with this Venezuela thing too, is that, you know, Trump might have just secured his place, and or at least Trump's clique might have just secured their place indefinitely by giving this gift. I mean, if it pans out the way that it was originally portrayed, if the United States does end up with the oil in Venezuela, Trump and his band are not going anywhere. I think that they're here to stay. And
in what way do you mean?
I mean, I think American capital, this might have been the greatest gift they've received since Libya, maybe.
But what do you mean they're here to stay? You think like electorally?
Well, I mean, I personally, I don't really believe that, you know, I don't think that that the MAGA movement is entirely organic in that sense. And I think at first that, like, you know, American capital and, you know, Wall Street and these, you know, these power centers were originally anxious about the MAGA movement coming into power because it was a disruption. And I think at first it seemed like they weren't too sure where things were going to go. Now with this gift of Venezuela, if things go as planned, I think that Trump might have bought himself and his cronies an infinite lifeline. I mean, this is what they've been wanting to do now for 20 or 30 years, is to see regime change in Venezuela, right? Mm-hmm. And they didn't get it under Obama. They might have gotten it under a Hillary Clinton presidency, but they didn't get it under Biden either.
Well, we'll see, because they haven't technically gotten the regime change. I mean, like, I think on face value, yes, but the Maduro party is still in charge, and it doesn't seem like the United States is that interested in putting Machado in charge, even though I think a certain contingency is. So I do wonder. I mean, I don't know. I want to believe that there's some sort of like you said, dying empire stretched thin. I mean, putting Stephen Miller in charge of Venezuela. What the fuck does that even look like exactly?
Yeah.
I mean, I know now they're moving for Greenland. I don't
Yep.
know. I don't know. Cuba,
Well,
Iran, the fall of. I mean, like I do think that it is going to secure a certain version of Trump's legacy, overthrowing all of these oppositional countries.
I think that's where these are some critical months here, right? Like if Trump can secure Venezuela in the next few months, then I think he's got an infinite lifeline. But otherwise, if the sort of Chavez Maduro project remains in power, then we could start seeing some scrambling, right? Because I think he is stretching himself too thin here and stretching the United States too thin by just going, oh, I'm just going to say we're going to invade every country. Like, it was like, oh, Mexico, Panama, Cuba, the president of Colombia has to watch his ass. Greenland. Like, at a certain point, you can't have this many things on the go at once,
Yeah. And I mean, this is a perfect opportunity if the United States gets stretched that thin for China just to be like, yoink, Taiwan. Like, that's ours now.
He gave the green light yesterday, right? He said, what China does in Taiwan is their business. So.
And so I think that they are trying to secure the United States as a regional hegemon in our hemisphere and starting to cede ground in the other hemisphere. And so Ukraine, so you're fucked. That's not. Yeah. So they're going to abandon that project. Oh boy, I really don't want to bum everybody out about the prospects of the near future, but it is strange. And I think it looked like Trump was up against the ropes with all the Epstein stuff and people souring towards Israel. Although, the Fuentes Tucker Owens contingency has certainly managed to capture the potential like class consciousness and turn it into just pure anti-Semitism. So I don't know, folks. We're not going to end on a bummer. We'll find a way to make it.
I know you always try to do this. It's very commendable. Very commendable, Isaac.
Yeah, it's hard. Well, we're not even ending. I mean, I'm sure we have a lot more to talk about. I mean, again, like this is the thing that I'm seeing right now is like the begging of the question. And so everybody who uses that phrase, which I've used it incorrectly, begging the question doesn't mean what you think it means. People use it. It's a malapropism. They mean, or they're confused. They mean raising the question. It raises the question. It doesn't beg the question. Begging the question is a logical fallacy where an argument's premise assumes the truth of its conclusion, essentially using circular reasoning by stating what it's trying to prove as evidence. An example is wool sweaters are superior to nylon jackets as fall attire because wool sweaters have the higher wool content. Right? That is the exact same way that the people talking about this rendition of Maduro and the execution of what's her first name? Not Erin. Nicole. Erin Nicole Good, is that her name? Good.
Here, let me find it.
I don't know why I think it's not Erin. It is Erin.
It is. Wow.
Renee. It's Renee. Renee Nicole Good.
Renee Nicole Good. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the same way that people are trying to like litigate the execution of Renee Good, because it's just like they're trying to say like, well, it's legitimate that it was legitimate that he killed. He was right. The officer, Jonathan Ross, was within his rights to kill her because he threatened her life. But he wasn't supposed to be there in the first place.
Right.
The whole thing, the whole premise is ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so liberals do this, like well-meaning liberals will argue, being like, well, if you see her wheel was turned over, it doesn't fucking matter. That part, stop treating this like some Zapruder film, like you can prove to these right-wing fucking ghouls, these like soulless demons.
That the premise is rotten from the beginning, right?
Exactly. That's the begging of the question to me. Maybe I'm using it wrong, but anyway, that's how I see it. And it's the same thing with Maduro, where it's just like they're trying to like make some legal case for the rendition of this guy when it's just like, no, the from the get-go, the premise is wrong. You don't have to like even begin to engage in this kind of like debate because the premise is off. It is just wrong before it even starts.
Right, the intervention itself as an act is illegal from the get-go. That
Right.
it doesn't itself become legal because of these false pretenses that they're trying to put on it, right?
Right, but that's how these Democrats are treating this, being like, well,
the liberals,
you didn't, the liberals, you didn't vote to do, you didn't ask us to vote if you could do this. It's like you can't do it, so there's no votes. What the fuck are you talking about?
I mean, they all support this. Like, the Democratic Party supports this. They secretly wish they could have been in the driver's seat for this, right? I mean, that's the thing. Like, I made a tweet the other day about this, and it got pretty controversial response, or people were pretty pissed off at me for it. But I think I'm correct. That Americans are the most propagandized people on earth because they still believe the midterms are going to matter. And what I meant by that is not like I didn't mean by that like, oh, there's no like that. Okay, what I meant by that is that people still believe in the United States that if there's a Democratic president or a Republican president, it actually makes a significant difference on policy. At this point, it makes almost zero difference other than purely aesthetic things. Like, I believe that if a Democrat wins even the presidential election and somehow unseats Trump, I don't think Pete Buttigieg is unraveling this mess. I don't think that Kamala Harris is unraveling this mess. Like, I don't think Gavin Newsom is unraveling this mess. Like, if you still put your faith in these people, get your head out of the sand. They're not your friend. Like, it's at that point. Like, it's like, people in the comments were saying, oh, that's the only hope we have, is the midterms. And I'm like, what does Congress even do anymore? Like, like Congress people just go to work, they collect their paycheck, and they do insider trading. That's what Congress.
And then they
do.
just immediately start running for office again because it's every 2 years. Yes.
Exactly. Like it's like that these institutions have been so eroded that they don't matter anymore. Like, unfortunately, or I don't know. Even just it doesn't even there's not even fortunately or unfortunately of it. It just it's real.
And it doesn't mean not vote. I vote, especially locally. I think it's important.
Sure.
Yeah, to put all your faith in these things that happen every 2 to 4 years is ridiculous. If you think that's how it's going to work. And I do think the first thing you should do, because I don't have the answer to things, is at least like educate yourself, right? I mean, I really think that just like fucking open your eyes. That's it. That's the very first thing you can do is just open your eyes. And from there, maybe things can change.
Yeah, always keep your eyes wide open, as they say.
Yeah. Nice little plug there. Is there anything else you wanted to add? I mean, I feel like we could go on forever about this kind of thing. But
yeah, I mean, I think the one last thing I wanted to mention, since you mentioned Renee Nicole Good's slaying, is again, I don't know if you've noticed this and how, we're living in unprecedented times in terms of the way that social media can be kind of it seems like the algorithm, or not even the algorithm, but the way that things are shown to us can be changed on a dime. Because I don't know if you've noticed this since this incident or this brutal killing by the ICE agent of Renee Nicole Good, Twitter has been like reading Stormfront. I mean, it's like half the replies to every post about this are basically SS officers. Like, like it's and it seemed to have happened overnight. Like, it seems like with Elon's X platform that they can like almost change the levers immediately to react to whatever happened. Because I'm going to say my algorithm was like getting better. I had blocked enough accounts or muted enough accounts that they were starting to get that I don't want to see all the fucking racist shit. But then as soon as this incident happened, it's like you go to the comments and it's like just some of the most vile shit. Like, this is what I voted for. Fuck around and find out. Good. Keep the killings going. It's like our reality can just be, well, so much of our reality is taken in through social media now. And that reality can be so easily changed and noticeably is extremely scary.
And I guess my advice to people, as someone who is steeped in that world, it's not real. I mean, no. I think most people are good. Most people are good. Most people are normal and see something like this and are just like, yeesh. They're horrified, rightfully so. And so I think that I talked about this recently. I don't think that even if it's real, even if these aren't bots that are doing this, these people don't even actually believe what they're saying. They say it because that's what gets them attention. The algorithm, the social media rewards this kind of behavior.
Yes.
Because that's what gets seen. That's what gets shared. The outrage, the engagement with it. My suggestion is don't engage with these people. I mean, ignore it, block it, do whatever you can not to help it thrive. Don't look. Just don't look. My hope is that social media gets so unbearably like just awful that it actually turns people away from it, and they're just like, I don't want to deal with this anymore. Like either because they're getting too many ads, or everything is just fucking slop and AI, and just that people get so sick of it they begin to turn away from it. Now this is bad for you and me, and the way that like our jobs work, but I would happily sacrifice it for people not engaging with it, because when you talk to people in real life, even if they have crazy ideas, because almost everybody does have insane ideas about the world when you start to pick away at it from them.
Yeah, true.
I'm always talking I'm in the sauna every day at my local gym, and I'm always talking to people, and they eventually start revealing their thoughts of the world. And I'm like, oh, wow, you really think you think that there are Jews behind hurricanes, like steering it up the Florida Peninsula? That's interesting.
Right. The classic Jewish weather control. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's a classic.
Which, by the way, I'm late for my weather shift.
Shift at the weather factory.
Yeah,
I gotta punch in.
Oh shit.
They're downsizing though. It's tough these days, eh?
They're gonna take my gelt away, for every hour I'm late. Yeah, I think my hopeful thing is like, really don't let them turn you away from the fact that like people are more normal than you think they are. They might have crazy ideas, and they might be susceptible to the laziest, dumbest fucking propaganda you've ever seen in your life, but like I think treating people with that kind of like generosity, like being like, I think you'll be okay. I think that you'll be all right if we just, really in a little bit.
Right.
Unlike this one guy, I found this tweet that was retweeted by Kit Clarenberg, who I'm not sure how much I trust that guy.
Kit Clarenberg, don't know.
Yeah, he said, this guy said, reported that a General Javier Marcano Tabata betrayed Maduro.
Right. Oh, yeah, that's the post you sent me.
Yeah. And so, which is possible. I mean, I think you and I think that there's like there's some theater in this invasion of Venezuela.
To be fair, that is a very real possibility as well, that he was sold out. Like I'm not saying that I personally think that Maduro probably cut a deal of some sort, but I think it's also equally possible that he was sold out by somebody in his circle.
Right. So they claimed that he was accepting CIA bribes. He was providing U.S. Special Forces with President Maduro's exact coordinates, systemically disabling the anti-aircraft defense protocols, and this general was a close friend of Maduro, grew up with him. Was a trusted friend, and he says for a bag of dollars he sold the country and its resources. And he says same story for Sankara. Grew up together, eventually fucked him over. And this is what he says. This is his conclusion to this theory. Friendship is overrated. No one had ever been betrayed by an enemy, killed by an enemy, poisoned by an enemy, or even killed coming from a meeting with an enemy. Trust yourself only, not even your spouse or your parent or kid. That's bad advice right there. That's ridiculous. So,
this is like hyper individualism.
It's solipsistic, which all conspiracies eventually become. All the nonsensical conspiracies become when it's like, I'm the only one who sees the Matrix. Like, everything else is a fucking hologram. I'm the only real one in the world. Don't let them isolate you. Because again, I think that's how these evil powers are so powerful, is through individual isolation. If we all together we can easily defeat the machine, but we all just kind of gotta, stop fighting over dumb shit.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. And I think that, these technologies do unfortunately divide us even more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think that don't let, when you see the awful things that are coming out, and maybe I'm not helping by making fun of, these people who think that the Iranian revolution is real. And I asked Grok, how do you say gusano in Farsi? I am probably not helping. That just is very selfish of me to tease.
How do you
these
say
people.
gusano in Farsi?
Yeah, really. I mean, I touch grass, I guess, is a pretty good advice, but touch grass with other people, touch grass together and form your communities, because I don't know, hopefully some fucking solar flare EMP will knock out social media and we'll be okay, but I don't know.
Read more books too.
Yeah.
Get off the internet. Yeah, buy books. I don't know, or even just pirate books too.
That's me in the mirror talking to myself all the time. Read a fucking book.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's just because I think that the reading books is always more valuable than reading some other schmuck's opinion on Twitter.
Any books you'd recommend to the listener?
I mean, I'm reading a lot of stuff about Japan right now.
It's, we gotta do a Japan episode soon. Once you finish your Japan arc, we'll do that.
Oh yeah, I should be done by. I'm hoping to get it done by February. I've written 100 pages over the past couple of months, and now it's just about editing it and producing it.
I'm currently reading Greg Grandin's America, a new history of the Americas. Really fascinating stuff. Very depressing. So
I have that on my shelf. Actually, a buddy of mine gave it to me. So
it's really good. The other thing I actually have on the docket, and I heard about this because Xi Jinping recommended it. That's how. It's a novel called The Gadfly, which is written by an Irish woman by the name of Ethel Lillian Voynich. And it's a fascinating story about the revolutionary spirit. It's a part romance novel. It's only 140 pages. I have that coming to me pretty soon because my library doesn't have it. My local bookstores don't have it. So I had to fucking order it from bookshop.org.
This is Xi Jinping that recommended this?
He said it's the book that kept him going during the hardest times during the Cultural Revolution. And it was actually almost required reading in the Soviet Union for a period of time. And what was interesting was the woman who wrote it didn't even know how popular it was until I think almost 60 years after she wrote the book.
So I guess she wrote this, I guess, during the Irish Revolution. I
yes,
guess, the Civil War. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
And so I think that I'm going to read that and do an episode about that to inspire people, hopefully. So if you want to read it with me, we can do a book series.
That would be fun. Yeah. I mean,
something positive, something hopeful.
You know what? Maybe I'll pick it up then, and we could do a book club.
Yeah,
I've been wanting to do that as well with my patrons as well, is try to do a book club or something, right? Propose a book every month and say, if you want to read it with me, we'll talk about it at the end of the month. I think that could be fun, and maybe include other creators in our circle in this and do that kind of thing. I think that could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, let's do something like that. There we go. That's a hopeful way to end the episode.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah,
yeah. Well, and so
nothing about the world.
Yeah, if you haven't already, please subscribe to Eyes Wide Open. Check out his YouTube. Incredibly informative, in-depth historical reporting. So thanks again for all the work you do and jumping on the show.
Thanks, Isaac. No, it's always a pleasure to come on and chat. And, we could have chatted for another hour and 45 minutes if we had kept going. But again, always a pleasure.
All right, brother. Talk to you soon.